Hey guys, Aaron here with Functional Aesthetics in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Welcome to this final video in my Healthy Shoulders video series. Today I'm going to be covering four different exercises to cover the rhomboids, posterior deltoids, and the middle deltoids. So sit back and enjoy. Okay, well, welcome to exercise number one. We're going to be doing something called scaption, which is essentially abduction of the arms with external rotation of the shoulder. The benefits of this are that even though the middle deltoid part of this function is to slight internal rotation of the shoulder, if you're doing too much heavy weights like this, it can cause some impingement in the shoulder joint. So since most of us are already getting a lot of work doing the pressing exercises, internally rotating, you're doing pull-ups, you're getting some internal rotation there. So what you want to be doing is working a lot more on external rotation, which we'll be doing a lot in this video series. So this right here is a variation of the side lateral raise, which will also get that, but it's also going to hit some of these external rotators of the shoulder as well. So you start out with some weights. They don't have to be really heavy at all. Start out light, build up your volume, and just like you would with any other exercise, and then gradually progress to heavier exercises as your muscles get used to the new movement. So what you're going to do, you start out in that slightly internally rotated position, then you're going to raise out to the side, and as you raise out, you're going to externally rotate, and then come back down internally, back to a neutral position, come back up, down, up, down, and as always, exhale as you're coming up, inhale as you're coming down. All right, next. Okay, so our second exercise is going to be incline dumbbell rows. This exercise works multiple muscles in the back. Starting with the latissimus dorsi, which extends your upper arm, among other functions. But for this particular exercise, that is its function with this exercise. Also, in addition to that, it works the trapezius, upper, lower, and middle fibers, but primarily the lower and middle fibers, which is of the greatest importance of this exercise, since the upper fibers of the trapezius normally get plenty of work through a regular shrugging exercises or just day-to-day life, and usually have too much tension in them depending on what kind of work you do. So the trapezius, lower and middle fibers, work in concert with the serratus muscles, which if you watched an earlier video, I think it was maybe the first or the second video in this series, demonstrated some scapular push-ups to exercise the serratus anterior, which is those finger-like muscles that wrap over the top of the ribs and help to keep the scapula close to the spine. But they also work with the lower and middle fibers of the trapezius to upwardly rotate the scapula during overhead pressing exercises such as dumbbell shoulder presses. So that's one reason that this is important. Also, these same muscles, trapezius again, lower and middle fibers, work together with other muscles such as the rhomboids, which are in your upper back, to help do retraction of the scapula or squeezing your shoulder blades together, which is of primary importance in this context since we want to keep the shoulders back and down. So that's one of the main reasons we are using this exercise, is to help squeeze those shoulder blades back and build up some strength there. One last thing, it also works your intrinsic or deep back muscles that lie along the spine and help to stabilize during rotational movements. So it helps to do those. Now, how you do this exercise is you can grab some dumbbells. You can use a little bit heavier weight than you would with some of the other shoulder exercises we were doing, just because you got a lot more muscles involved in this. But it's best to start out a little bit lighter just until you get the hang of the movement. Anyway, how you do this exercise is you set the bench at just slightly higher than you would for an incline bench press, or approximately 30 degrees, so just higher than 30 degrees, the notch above that one. The dumbbells that you use, they can be a little bit heavier because you are using more muscles, and the muscles are a little bit bigger than the ones that you'd be using for most of the other shoulder exercises we're doing. However, I would start light until you learn the movement. Anyway, this is how you do it. So you can kind of go into a lunge position so you're not putting too much, so you don't just fall right into it. And then put your chest up on the upper part of the bench. Brace yourself with your feet. Try to keep a neutral spine, so neck and upper back in alignment all the way down. You're going to turn your arms your elbows slightly out, and then row the dumbbells up. Hold for a count at the top and come back down. Then I'll move the bench so you can see how it looks from the other angle. Alright, so there you have it, incline dumbbell rows. Okay, so our third exercise for this video is going to be a reverse fly. And what this exercise primarily works is going to be your rhomboid muscles, so the strap sort of muscles that run from the medial border or the border of the scapula that's closest to the spinal column. They run from those edges of the scapula down at an angle towards the spine, attached on the spine. Then those muscles are going to help you to retract or bring those shoulder blades closer together. So like this. Effectively keeping you in that opened up posture to again create a more balanced position of that shoulder of the humerus in the glenohumeral joint. So this exercise is also going to work your rear deltoids as well as some of your rotator cuff muscles, particularly the infraspinatus and the teres minor muscle. So I'll just demonstrate a couple different variations of how you can do this exercise. The first one we're going to do is just with your hands in this neutral position here with the thumbs pointing forward, and we're just going to go straight out to the side, try to hold it for a second at the top, come back down. So you want to kind of get into a position as if you were going, we call it a hip hinge. So when you go down, you want to start by bending the knees. If you're like sliding down, bend the knees, stick your butt out behind you to get that good curve in the lower back, cause the approximation of the facet joints in your lumbar spine for greater stability to support your upper body. When you're in that position, then pull straight out to the side, come back down, like that. Okay, so the second variation is to add a little bit more work to your rotator cuff muscles, that infraspinatus and teres minor muscle. And how you're going to do that is instead of just coming straight out to the side, you're going to rotate your hands out as you do that. Add that external rotation component, rotate the shoulders, the arms out a little bit to kind of counteract that pulling movement that you get a lot from the work on the lat muscles when you're doing pull-ups, when you're doing push-ups, when you're doing rows, all those things, because one of the functions of your lat muscles is to internally rotate the humerus in the glenohumeral joint. Also, the chest muscles are going to do that as well. So this is just one more thing you can do to help externally rotate yourself. So bring it up, turn it out, out, out. Start off with the light weight as always and gradually start increasing the weight. You won't need a whole lot of weight. Work on your form, work on controlling the weight. That's far more important. Okay, so the last exercise for this video is going to be a diagonal raise. Now this exercise is primarily to work your rotator cuff muscles, so your supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. It also works a little bit of the posterior deltoids, a little bit of your medial deltoid as well, but predominantly it is for those external rotators of your shoulder, which is, again, what we're trying to do here, create that balance in the shoulder joint, work those muscles in the back that don't often get worked unless you intentionally try to work them. So how you're going to do this is attach a resistance band to a heavy object at the level of the floor. I got it attached to the squat rack right here. You're going to face the 0.1 foot of the squat rack, kind of turn your torso out a little bit, chest is facing it, get a little bit of tension in that band, and then rotate your torso out. So as you're rotating, when you are fully rotated back to that forward position, then you're going to follow through and pull it back. So here, rotate and following through. It's all one fluid motion, but I'm just kind of breaking it down. So again, you get to the front, and right here, pull it back. Then, if you want to see it from the back, same thing, pointing your toe, at your chest pointed at the attachment point, rotate, hold out to the side. Okay, now if you want to put a little bit extra emphasis on your rear deltoids, a lot of times those get worked a lot. Anytime you're doing like rowing type movements, you're doing reverse dumbbell flies like we talked about in the previous exercise. So not super critical that you hit them, but if you do want to do a little extra concentrated work on them, what you can do is, again, bend over at 90 degrees, come here, get that tension first in the band, and you're going to bring it over. And you don't have to go that far, maybe 35, 40 degrees. Really at about 30 degrees is when the rhomboids start engaging and start taking over. So if you're really trying to just burn out that deltoid for just a little extra detail work or something, if you're like bodybuilding, then that's what you want to do. Alright, well that concludes the last video in this Healthy Shoulders video series. I hope that you found the information informative, and hopefully it helps you avoid getting some injuries later on down the road that will derail you from your training, and you can continue to grow stronger, faster, more athletic, whatever your training specialty might be. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Also, leave any comments or suggestions below. And if you'd like me to address any topics in the future, be sure to include that in your comment. Alright, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.